All right, so I think we can get going. Welcome, everybody. It's 4 o'clock, so um, we'll get going on this. Welcome to Primary Sources and Teaching Online webinar series brought to you by the TPS Western Region at MSU Denver in partnership with the TPS Teachers Network. My name is Kyle Claybaugh, and I'm the project coordinator for the TPS Western Region, and I'll be your host for tonight. Keith Patterson and Crystal Payne are also here from the office, and they'll be manning the chat. So please reach out to them if you have any questions or comments. For those of you who would like a professional development certificate, we will be providing a link at the end to fill out for just a really brief reflection, and then we'll email certificates out to you. Our two-part program titled Primary Sources and Pear Deck both deal with Pear Deck, and they both should be amazing from our presenters, Laura Israelsen and Michelle Pearson. So I look forward to hearing your ideas with this, and I'll hand it over to you.
All right. Hello, I'm Laura Israelsen, and right now I'm working in Denver Public Schools as a digital coach. My background has been libraries and classroom instructor, and I'm really excited about this tool. You want to introduce yourself, Michelle?
Sure, I'm Michelle Pearson. I am a secondary social studies teacher, but I do historic preservation, STEM, architecture, and I'm a tech geek. And that's where we come together. We do a lot of collaboration and technology. I follow Laura around when it comes to Pear Deck, and hopefully you're going to see some great ideas today that you can implement in your classroom. And as Kyle said, Laura's going to launch off with an overview of what Pear Deck is and how to work with it. And then we're going to give you some particular ways to use it today, and I think you'll be excited to see how you can implement it in your own classroom in a very quick, easy way that supports remote learning. So Laura, it's yours.
If you'd like a copy of this presentation, you can go to the bit.ly Geeky Teachers 2 and grab a copy, and we'll also put, I think Michelle put the link in chat as well, so you can have access to that. We have a lot going on today, so we're going to go kind of fast. We have two 30-minute sessions. The first session, we want you to experience Pear Deck. Experience it as a student, and then also we'll demonstrate how that looks from a teacher view and a student view, and how you build some of these Pear Deck lessons. And then our second session, we're going to use Pear Deck with primary sources, and we've given you a lot of resources today, so hopefully if you have questions, and you can post those in chat, and we'll take turns making sure that those questions are answered. But we are going to move kind of quickly because we have a lot going on. So why do we want to use Pear Deck? We have started with Pear Deck, especially with remote learning, because it offers a student-paced mode. Students can go through on their own. But it increases student engagement. When we've started using this in classroom, every student gets to answer. Every student has a voice, not just the one or two loud ones or the one or two who will raise their hand. And it supports differentiation. I know in real time as a teacher, I have a teacher dashboard. I can see how the students are responding, and it really helps to guide my instruction. So those are some of the big reasons to use Pear Deck. So what is Pear Deck? Let's try it out. So I'd like you to open another tab or click on this link. And this is exactly what you would do as a student. Go to joinpd.com. And I'm actually going to let you see how this looks from my view. So once you go to joinpd.com. So as a teacher, Pear Deck is an add-on for Google Slides, and I open the Pear Deck with my add-on, and then you start the lesson. You don't present from Google Slides, you have to present from Pear Deck. So once I open that, I'm actually going to start this. You have two choices to start it as a student-paced or an instructor-paced. I'm going to start tonight as an instructor-paced. And so you should get a code to be able to join.
And Laura, can I just make a side note? You can also join using your phone device. So you can get the Pear Deck app, and you can go straight to a browser and join in using your phone as well.
All right, so here's my join code. Seems kind of small, but And they always come up with something fun. So where you are prompted to put in your join code, do XUGQC, which is xeric umbrellas give quick carrots.
They always have something strange, but it works.
Yeah, kind of clever. You can always come back and open that join code up anytime too in your presentation. So once I'm in, I have some options as a teacher. I can go down and I can open projector in a new tab, which is if I were projecting this in front of the classroom, I would open this projection tab. So this would be what would be on the front, up at the front of the room. Yeah, kind of slow. But this, we'll get the Pear Deck code will come here as well. And you can see that you can invite through Google Classroom. You can also give students a link. And I can see that I have 20 students connected. And I also have the option to open this teacher dashboard, which is kind of magical. And we'll be going back and forth so you can see that as well. So I'm going to open that. But I'm going to come back to the presentation tab and then move to the next slide. So as a Pear Deck student, so if you would answer this question, they have some emotional, social emotional slides that are already built out in Pear Deck, pretty great. And you can see that. And then if I have, so I don't share this. This is the teacher dashboard view, and I don't share this with students. What I usually do is I have this tab open on another device, and so I can walk around the room, or I can have this on a separate tab if I'm doing remote learning or even another device in remote learning. But you can see that I can see very quickly, I can get an idea of what's going on in the room, how everybody's doing. Even this view I love. When you signed in, you told me how you were feeling today. So I know immediately if there's somebody I need to click in with, I can see this little face. So they have all these little touches in Pear Deck. And I can also go over here to the list layout and see responses one at a time. So I see the student name, and then I can see how they added, right? How they answered this, all right? So then I'm gonna go back to presentation mode, and let's try the next slide. So what are you doing to survive staying at home? It's a good idea to check in with your kids. This is another different kind of a response option in Pear Deck. This one allows you to add some text and answer. So if I go to my teacher dashboard view, so I've got my list layout or my grid layout. I kind of like the grid layout with this option, and I can see quickly how everybody is responding. I can also click a star. So somebody looks like they're going for long walks and listening. If there's some things I want to share, mostly working, and then I can show responses. When I show responses, that's when it goes up on the presentation. So if I were in a screen with kids, you notice, or if I were projecting this to the front of the room, these responses that I starred showed up, but there are no student names. So now we can discuss the answers, but it didn't give us any student names. And then I can go back to hide responses, and I go right back to my presentation. So let's try another one. So what do you wonder about Pear Deck? Maybe give me a couple of ideas. And again, we're just going into this response. So very quickly, right? So as a teacher, I can see right away who's getting it, what I need to do, who's got some questions. I've got an idea of anybody I need to reteach, if I need to pull a group, if I need to check back with a kid. I've got lots of information. Do you understand? Where can we go from here? And lots of great questions. Yeah, does it only work live? Nope, we're gonna show you that in just a minute. Seems like it takes a long time to set things up. Nope, we just really threw that in and you start Pear Deck. So we'll show you some of that too. Can you eat it because I'm starving? Isn't that funny? We love the whole Pear Deck thing that kind of play on words. Yeah, so I know right away. So now let's try it in student pacement mode. Somebody asked about that. So when I go down here, my next slides, and even right in the middle of the presentation, I can turn on student pace mode. So I'm going from teacher pace to student pace. You can do the whole thing in student pace. You can say, okay, got it. And so now you can go through the slides on your own. And you can go back and forth, do whatever you would like in terms of how you're pacing through the lesson. We're doing this a lot with remote learning. The whole lesson is student paced, and students can get into this at their own time, whatever works for them. But then as a teacher, I can go back and I can check out the responses. This one is a drag and drop slide. I kind of like this option. I can see right away who's getting it. But when in these drag and drop, or I have this overlay option, so I can actually see everybody's answer. So very quickly, like I've got all this data. So most of the class gets it. I've got a couple of outliers, and then I can also go into my list view and go through and see each student, how they're answering this one. Same thing with the graph. I can very quickly with the overlay see if my whole class kind of gets it, where we're at, who do I need to go back and talk with. Michelle Pearson, I don't think math is her strength. We might have to have, yeah. Or I can go to the list view and go through student by student. And all this information is saved. Pear Deck saves this for me. So, but you'll notice that you're going through this at your own pace. But then I am just accessing the answers and what's going on in the teacher dashboard and in real time, right? So I love this, and I love the drawing feature. So you can add text. If you go all the way, some people miss this, if you go all the way to the left, the first circle, you can adjust the how big your drawing line is. If you want a more narrow line or a wider line, you can go in and do that. All right, so that's kind of a taste of teacher pace mode, but also student pace mode, and then what I'm seeing in the dashboard or what I'm seeing in presentation mode. Okay, so I'm going to end, and I can do a couple of things down here too. I can end a session. I've got some other, when I'm in teacher pace, I can stop response on a certain slide if kids are dragging those flags around and making you crazy. So I do have some controls down here. So I'm going to end this session. So always when you end a session, I'm actually going to kick you guys out and say, yes, I'm sure. So best practices is to name this. And this right here is kind of a cool option. You can publish student takeaways, and we have some examples of what this student takeaway is, but if you click on this, Pear Deck actually creates a Google Doc for your students that has every slide, a thumbnail of that slide, but also their response. Goes straight to their Google Drive, save for them, then it becomes a Google Doc. They can share, edit, add, turn it back into you if you want them to go further with that. But then, and you should get a takeaway. That will publish a takeaway for you, and that should show up. And then you also have the option to share with the Google Classroom. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. All right, so that's kind of an overview, a little bit of how Pear Deck works. So the thing that we wanted, let's stop for a second and ask if there's any questions before we go into some demonstration.
So Laura, I'm going to pop in. So a couple people were asking some questions in regards to downloading data, and you can save that data, and also self-population of student names. That's really important if they're logging in with Google, right? You can see those names. But also we had another question, is it a Google project? And it's really not a Google project. It's its own entity out of Iowa, I think. But it does pair with Google nicely.
It's an add-on in Google Slides, so it really, but they do have some options to work with PowerPoint too, but that's kind of beta. But right now, it's mostly an add-on with Google Slides. Yeah, Pear Deck's its own entity, but they do have a partnership with Google with an add-on.
Yeah.
And in their Chrome Web Store, yeah.
And there was a comment about a better version of Nearpod. Those of you who know Nearpod, yes, it actually is pretty cool in it.
I have to tell you, I'm a big Nearpod fan, always was. Pear Deck, hands down, a better gig. So I do like it better than Nearpod. They have a couple of features in Nearpod the Pear Deck doesn't have, like the ability to collaborate and their new game and some things that they have in Nearpod. But overall, I like the results and the interaction with Pear Deck better. So.
There was a question, Laura, about push out of the Pear Deck piece by the district to devices, but you don't have to have it pushed to a district device. You can access Pear Deck outside of that, correct? Into a browser, like if you're joining it?
Yeah, we have it pushed it out. I don't know that, I guess you could push out an add-on. It really is an add-on, and maybe I'll show you that right now. When you go into add-ons, you can go to get add-ons, and we also have a link for you here. Pear Deck is so popular, it comes right up as one of the first add-ons, or you could search Pear Deck add-on. But that's how you install it. You just click on that and install it. So it's really this add-on to Google Slides. Other questions? All right, we got about 10 minutes. I want to go live and kind of walk you through how to make a Pear Deck, okay? So this is your Pear Deck toolbar. So once you do your add-on, you open it up, and this is the toolbar that you get with Pear Deck. So I have a couple of options. So my first is Pear Deck has a template library. It's already built. I have teachers who only work in the template library. They don't do any of their own slides. And if you go in, you'll notice they have beginning of the lesson, during, end. They have some critical thinking, social, emotional, and they keep adding all the time. Examples, some slides just aimed at littles, math. There's some great things in there, math, science, social studies, even some ELA slides. So what does that mean? What does that look like? So I've just got a Google slideshow. I go to the beginning of the lesson and I can choose any of these. Let's say I choose, how was your homework assignment? Once I click on that, it adds it to my Google slideshow, and then it's mine. And I can edit it, I can change whatever. So here's the original, but I can come right in here and say, whatever I want, right? I can add text boxes here, I can add different images, whatever, but this is an icon slide. It's mine now, and it's in my presentation. So it's as easy as that in terms of adding slides. And for example, math teachers are always saying, I don't have a graph, I don't have a timeline. So you insert any of these and you edit those and you can make them your own, right? So this is my graph. I can go in, I can make the numbers make sense for my problem, whatever I need. This is mine now, and I can put my own problem here. So these are mine. And so those are the slides that are available for Pear Deck. But you can make your own slide and then add interactivity to it. So let's do one of those. Let's say I'm just going to add a blank slide to my Pear Deck, to my Google slideshow, right? So here it is. So let's say I'm going to insert an image. I'm going to search for it on the web. Like it takes 3 minutes, right? Let's see. So I've got, I kind of like this one. I can insert that straight from Google, and then I can, you know, I can resize it. I can add a text box, whatever I want to this slide show, right? So I can say, whatever, and I can put directions here. So then if I go down, I have these choices. So here are all the question types in the interactivity. Let's say I wanted to add a drag and drop to this one. So if I just click on that, this is my slide. I totally just made this, but I can say I need a heart, and I want it to be green, and then I need a flag. I want it to be red, and I need a circle, and it can be blue, right? So I can update all those slides. So once I update it, and you'll notice, you'll know that your slide is updated when Perry shows up at the bottom. So this is the magic, and every interaction type shows up with a different icon. So this is the draggable one, and then it tells you right there, students drag the icons, and here we are. So, you know, drag the green heart to your favorite, and etc., right? So you can drag the flag. So you have the directions, and you create the interaction. So that's how you do your slide. So you have all of these types, and I've got examples of all of those for you, but that's how you either take a slide that's already created for you from their template library, or you take a slide and either make it a text slide, which is response, the one that you just saw, or a multiple choice, or a number slide, or you just want them to go to a website, the drag one we just did, or a drawing. So you can just add your own interactivity to any slideshows. So if you already have your slideshows, you go in. I did this in about 5 minutes with a teacher today. She had to hurry and throw this up. She already had her slideshow created, so we just added the interactivity, turned it into a student-paced presentation, and let them go. So all the steps are here and ready for you as a resource. So if you've downloaded this, but one thing I'd like you to know, we kind of walk through the user-created slides and presenting. When you present, we talked about this, you always have to present from this green button, not from the Google Present, because you're presenting a Pear Deck, so you have to use their start code. And then we talked about the dashboard, everything's there, but we wanted to make sure we had some screenshots for you so that you would see those. So how to set it up. So if you are in the presentation, we have a link here. So Pear Deck is free during COVID-19, and there's also a 3-month trial. So either one will give you free premium access to Pear Deck, and you can just click on that. And maybe Michelle could even add that to the chat.
Yep, I'll stick it in there. Not a problem.
So you just install, it's a Google add-on, so you have to allow Google to be able to work with that. This is another extension that we add, and here's the link into the Chrome Web Store, and you'll see it show up like this in your add-ons. This is a power-up extension, especially if you're using a lot of GIFs or videos. It just makes them look cleaner, and Pear Deck just added that recently. So that's there, and then the takeaways. This is a takeaway example, and you would have gotten one too. So this is a webinar that I did because my teacher clicked takeaways. Here's kind of loading slowly. Here's the slide. Here's what I did. But now I can go down here and take notes, right? So as a student, if you want them to go further with those takeaways, that's what a takeaway is. And that's how that looks. So we're just kind of reviewing. The next part, we just have a few minutes, is there are 3 views in Pear Deck. There's the presentation view, there's the teacher dashboard, and then there's the student view. So the next slides really have just an image of each one of those views. So that you can see, this is a text slide. So this is what a student would see. This is what you would put up on the projector, or that you just have on your computer if you were doing a Zoom meeting or Google Meet. And this is your teacher dashboard, what you would get as a result. So these are all the different types of questions. A text slide, that's what it looks like. Multiple choice. So this is kind of nice in a projector view, right? Because you can see in real time how students are responding. A number slide, you can see everybody's answer to. The kids would just put their problem in, but then you have a projector view where you can see how everybody is doing and if the whole class has got the right answer. There's a website, if you put the URL in, it keeps them inside of Pear Deck to go to another URL, or it will also give you the option to open it in another tab. Here's the drawing slides, and you kind of saw that. That's the student view. Those are all the tools, text, erase, all the different colors. And this is the one I was talking about over here that will, that gauges how wide your marking tool is. And the draggable slide, we walked through that one. So we just wanted you to have all this. And then just remember, you know exactly what's going on. Don't mess with this. If it's a slide with interaction, you need to keep Perry at the bottom of that slide and make sure he's there. But yet they also give you a really good idea of what there is. Those are the question types. The stars mean that's a premium feature. You have access to all the premium features with that link. And then just a reminder about the teacher dashboard and how to start or hide responses. And these are some other premium options in Pear Deck, but you have access to all of those. So this is a link that will take you out to talk about using Pear Deck on another, using the teacher dashboard. This is my favorite way, and I really think this is best practices. This is your projector, or in times of remote learning, this is your Google Meet or your Zoom. This is my iPad or my Chromebook. I'm running the teacher dashboard somewhere else so I can see in real time. And this is what the students are doing, right?
So Laura, we've got a question. Can you rephrase what keeping the pair in place means?
Oh, yeah. So at the bottom of a slide, let's kind of go back to that one. At the bottom of the slide, any slide that has some interaction on it will show up with Perry, and then this grade bar across the bottom. So you just, if you delete that, then you delete the interaction. So the rest of the slide is yours, but you need to leave that alone. So really quickly, so this was a slide, this is the slide that we created. So I can move this around and do whatever I want with the text boxes, but I can't take that. If I remove that, then I remove the draggable slide and the interaction.
The interactivity comes out of it.
Yeah.
So Laura, we've got 1 minute to wrap up this section. I know that went really fast.
Yeah.
But I think the whole point of this was to ensure that we had lots of resources and step-by-step action points. We've been frantically answering questions.
I'm going to show you one more thing really fast. Where do you find all their answers? So there's 2 ways, but I like this. When I'm in Pear Deck, I go to my hamburger menu, right? And I go down to review sessions. Pear Deck automatically creates this for you. And this is your Pear Deck website. And any session that you have opened up or that you've started, it will save for you. You can go back anytime. You can reopen it. You can open the dashboard. You can export the answers to a spreadsheet. I really like to open the teacher dashboard. If I'm going to grade, I think this is the best option. So I did this weeks ago, and I can go back in and go ahead and grade and see what students have said weeks ago. So that's where I have my option to see the results. Okay, So that was a lot, and hopefully there's a ton of resources and links, and we're happy to help you anytime. But and you will see more of this interaction in the next part of the presentation too. So thank you.
There you go, Laura. So you guys are going to see a bit.ly up here, and I'll let the guys explain that, and then we're going to start into a next session that's going to show you how to work it with the inquiry process.
Yeah, thanks, Laura Michelle. And we're just doing this so that we can cut them and put them up on YouTube so that they're easier viewing. So here is the URL for your PD certificate. It's bit.ly/PS Teaching Online. And once again, thank you for coming to this Primary Sources and Teaching Online webinar series. It brought to you by the TPS Western Region in partnership with the TPS Teachers Network. We'll go ahead and go back to you after a really short 30-second break, and